cars have lift systems, but the RS is just plastic. So if you do scrape it, you know, you could just replace it. Where the 918, carbon fiber, so you can't scrape it. Big difference. Now, as much as I love the 918, it can be a bit of a hassle to get in and out. That's mainly due because of the tub. Once you're in, it's really quite comfortable. And as you can tell, no easy way in getting out. Now the GT3RS has the same seats, but no tub. It sits higher. So quite easier to get in and out, as you can tell. Now, I do apologize for the placement of the camera, but that's really the easiest place to put it in this car without getting too technical with the GoPro. Put this lift up so we don't scrape pulling out. Right now it's in electric mode. Pull out. I think there's a car coming. Yep. This car's pretty cool though. With the electric, or I'm sorry, with the lift mode, it will only stay up to 30 miles an hour. Our Bentley GT3RS, you could have it on the whole time and forget about it, where this, it automatically do it on its own. Race mode, so it gets the engine going, and that also raises the tail. Now once you get in the car's absolutely a joy to drive. I love it. It's responsive as anything. I mean, heck, I think it's the most responsive car in the world with the electric engine. The handle is phenomenal, as you can imagine. You don't need to know that. It's the fastest car around the Nürburgring. And I don't know if this is because of the color combo we went with, the Salzburg color scheme, but it gets more attention than any other car I've ever driven. More attention than a Tucker, more attention than any Ferrari, any other Porsche. Which is fun, but at times it's been scary. Okay, well, I was behind this car in the GT3RS, and a Lamborghini Huracan cut me off just to get behind it. So my only fear is someone's going to be wanting to take a picture and everything, which is great, but not pay attention to the road or not pay attention to what they should be doing and either hit me or hit somebody else. This is a car that's meant to be driven, meant to go fast, meant to be on a track. It's not meant to putt around like I'm doing right now. It's not meant to, you know, go to dinner in or something like that. Where the GT3RS also is meant for the track, but is a lot more comfortable around town. Put it this way, I don't drive this car to dinner just because it can be a little annoying at times. Where the GT3RS, I'll take it to dinner, I'll take it to the bookstore, to the grocery store, whatever it may be. Do I have any real concerns with this car? No, I mean, it's, in my opinion, the ideal hypercar. It's got the technology, it's got the speed, it's got the traction, the control, everything. Now, that being said, it is a little over my head, all the technology. I still don't fully know how to handle this car. You know, all the technology and such. And this is probably the only car, well, this is the only car I've ever driven that I don't use the paddle shift on. The car's just too dang quick. For the GT3RS, I can get in it, I can use the paddle shift, I can use the up and down with the lever on the side, and it works. I'm comfortable with it. This I've never been comfortable with. And you have to be a professional driver to even get remotely 100% out of this thing. And on the streets, professional driver is not going to be able to get 50% out of this car. And being that I'm not a professional driver, I'm not even going to get probably 20% out of the car as far as its full potential. This rear window right here. On a standard one, it's glass. On the Visoc, it's plexiglass. So you hear the exhaust that much louder, especially considering it's right behind my head. And I like that, but I feel like if you've been driving for a long time, that might get annoying. But that's why there's an electric mode. If I was ever really on this car, though, too, I would never be driving it in race mode. It takes the traction control off, and I'm not that good of a driver. I'd probably be racing it in sport. But let's go on electric just so you can hear how silent it is. Now, how weird is that? It drops down to 0 RPMs because it's electric mode. It's kind of freaky. I call it stealth mode, but either way, it's cool. So what don't I like about this as far as driving it compared to the GT3RS? Well, I don't think the noise is as great as the GT3RS. It's a little bit more of a pain in the butt to get in and out of. It's definitely flashier, which in some cases you may like more, but in others it's not as good. Like I said, you get too much attention with this thing and people tend to not pay attention when they're driving. But let's drive in the GT3RS and I'll tell you about that one. Alright, we're in the GT3RS, the 991. Favorite button, exhaust button. It makes it even louder. One of the major reasons why I like driving this more than the 918, simply because I can see out of it. 918, you're low, you don't have a lot of vision because you don't have a whole lot of windows. You only have that little tiny porthole window in the back, where this has that nice big window in the rear. And everyone says that, you know, the GT3, or the GT3 I should say, it blocks, the wing blocks your vision. Well, the RS wing is just a little bit taller, so you're able to see right underneath it with the rearview mirror. It's really nice. Another reason is I personally like the sound of this more. I don't know why, but when I have a stretch of road, not that I'm not doing this in the 918, but I really try to get as much rev line as I can out of this and then shift. And I do that with the 918, but this it tends to sound better. I don't know why. And the 918, like I said when I was driving it, it's flashy. The color is flashy and you get way too much attention. This, you still get attention, but you get it from more or less car people, you know, people that know what the car is. Some people are like, what is that, because of the giant wing and the color, but not as much as the 918. It's easier to get in and out of, as I've said. And I like the size of it more. I like the 911 size. I feel like that is just the perfect size. This car handles just as well as the 918 as far as I'm concerned. It sits on the same tires as the 918, the Michelin Sport Cup 2s, which I am actually pretty excited about since those are what are going to come on the new Ford Mustang GT3R track version, which I think is kind of cool. They're going with the same tires as these two, but that's a different story. Interior, as far as both are concerned, I mean, probably like the interior a little more in the 918 just because it's a little more exotic, but this just feels more comfortable inside as far as the interior is. And I do like the orange inserts. This is a track car though too, no question to ask. But it's a car you could drive around the streets and be okay with. It's comfortable. It's not your Bentley or your Porsche Turbo S where it's luxurious and sporty at the same time. There's not a whole lot of luxury in this car. I mean, it's got a fire extinguisher for the passenger. drive is just like that. That car was so low that you really had to pay attention to the other drivers, because a lot of the time they wouldn't see you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I like this car more than the 918. Porsche 918 is probably, no, I take that back, that is my favorite Porsche of all time. No questions asked. But for driving in Newport Beach, Southern California, I'm going to choose the GT3RS. It's not, doesn't get as much attention in a good way. Personally, I think it sounds better. And these cars, you're never going to be able to take them at the full limit anyway. So this one feels great when you can't take it to the full limit. It feels like the same car because you can't get these. You're not going to be able to see this at the hunt. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't like the 918 as much as this. If anything, no, I take that back. The 918 is by far my favorite Porsche of all time. No questions asked. But in Southern California, I like driving the GT3RS more. It's easier to see out of. It doesn't get as much attention in a good way. Personally, I think it sounds better. Now, I don't go shopping a whole lot at groceries with these things, but this does hold more than that does. And it's still an incredibly exotic car. So, make it what you will. I love the 918 Spyder. It's my favorite Porsche of all time, but for me, I like driving. Now I realize this is my first video ever comparing two cars, so I know it's not going to be perfect. I know the haters are going to hate, but if you liked it, subscribe for some more videos. Thanks.